Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia Marketplace. And today on our marketplace, we're going to be interviewing Mr. Dominic Nimely, owner of Perfect American Used Car Center and chairman of the Patriotic Entrepreneurs of Liberia Trade Union. Today, joining me on the panel to speak with Mr. Nimely is Ansu Dwalu, Gabriel T. Carter, and later on, Willie Dillon. I'm your host, William, and this is Focus on Liberia. We ask that you please kindly share the link, share to more viewers and so forth as we get into talking about commerce in Liberia from a business owner's perspective. We're going to jump straight into this, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Nimely, Dominic Nimely, good day to you. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Okay,
and
good.
Happy New Year to every one of you guys.
Oh, Happy New Year to you too. We are moving with speed into 2021. Tell us something. Give us a brief bio about yourself. Who are you? Where do you hail from? And what's going on in your beautiful life?
Okay, my name is Dominic. I'm the national chairman of the Patriotic Entrepreneurs of Liberia Patel. I am the chair on trade and commerce at the Liberia Business Association, LIBAD, and I am the president of the Liberia Used Car Dealership.
Okay, well, what part of Liberia do you come from?
I'm from Grand Crew, my mom crew, my dad crew, from Tinginicus.
Okay, thank you. And how long have you been working in this business of yours on, I understand it's on Jalatan Road, a business street?
Yeah, I've been in my first business, line of business was electronic. General electronic. Yes. From there, I migrated to the used car, and I've been in the used car sector for the last 8 years.
Okay.
So I've been in business for the past 16 years.
16 years. That's a jump from electronics to used cars. I mean, it requires the land, the lot, a lot of expensive assets. How did you first start? What was the little niche that let you into that area?
Well, I started first as a store boy to the Nigerian man. As a store boy, a general manager for the electronics. Where back in the days, it was Nigerians that used to bring electronics to Liberia by continuous with China, where the Lebanese and Indians were we used to supply them, we used to sell and pay. They didn't even used to pay cash for those goods that we used to supply them. It take months, weeks, to sell and pay. So that's how I started. Before then, I was working with GTZ as a part-time painter. And then I was doing what we used to call camp ball. I was selling gas in the camp. Yeah.
Wow.
So I started way down the line.
I mean, that's not an easy business. That's a very tough to come up all the way from there. What kind of business acumen, or how did you get that business savviness to move on to the next level?
Well, for what I know, business is like relation, like being a Christian. You know, our boys are jealous guys like that. The business is very jealous. Before doing business, you have to be self-disciplined, number one. Number two, you have to be honest. You can't be perfect, but you have to be honest because there is no one perfect. The perfect person is God. So you have to be honest with yourself. Then you'll be honest with other people out there. That's the key point in doing business. You will have some up and down. But you have to be self-disciplined. Pleasure and business don't work together. I remember back in the days when I was trying to raise money to do what I'm doing today, I used to buy and do that flat. People who call DK, used clothes. That's why I used to wear it. In the evening time, after every 3 weeks, I go buy one suit on Rana Street, Rana and Broad intersection. That used to cost me most of the time $600 or $700 LD. I buy that suit, and I'm good to go for the next month or two. And I put suit. I keep my money, and I was still disappointed to the extent that I wasn't even looking for a serious girlfriend because that kind was expensive. She would need to fix her hair and etc. So I was just dodging all of that, and I knew my goals and my dream, and I was just heading for that direction. And people used to call me Pula Man. People who don't know me, they used to call me Pula Man because I was so serious for what I have today. During my first project that I started, my houses that I started getting, people didn't believe that that project was mine. They said that somebody from the world giving money, I was running the person project. And in the 99 minutes, they get to know. So they understand that even if the president of LBD, I had the thing in Liberia, Cameroon, his house was falling down from my house. He didn't even believe that I own that company. So it's all about, being focused and being sincere with yourself. Because if you're not straightforward with yourself, you will be straightforward with people out there. If you don't love yourself, you won't love people. So you start with yourself.
Okay. Wow, this is good. Gabriel, you're being joined with Gabriel. Gabriel is a banker. And let me tell you, Gabriel, from his background as a banker, some of the things that you're talking about and that you're doing, those are things that bankers love because they don't like too much risk. And, they like people who have a going concern. So I'm going to have Gabriel come in now. And Gabriel, go ahead, please. And Gabriel is just getting settled, and he's going to unmute and he's going to speak.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. What an introduction by Nimely. Nimely, kudos to you. I think you're pretty much one of the successful business owners in Liberia. We wish everybody else was, trying to emulate what you're doing to make sure that, we grow our economy. As Will said, my background is actually in banking, and which I don't want to get too much into it. I've been on this. I've been on this show plenty of time, and these are some of the things we talk about. How to, grow the Liberian economy. How the bank can work with the Ministry of Commerce, the central bank, for people like yourself to help business, entrepreneurs like yourself to have access to capital to grow the economy. For that, for most part of Liberia, we don't have that. We don't have that connection. The banks and the people like yourself are pretty much disconnected. And for us, that's most of the thing we want to focus on. How we can form that link, make sure like people like yourself who need access to capital have access to capital and be able to start businesses and run your businesses and make money in the country. And hire more people. The more people we hire, the more we can grow our economy. Yeah. I've been on the show plenty of times, and these are the things that we are talking about. And it's nice having you here. And we look forward to a great discussion. We hope that a lot of people call in, ask a lot of questions, and let's get to the bottom of what's really happening in Liberia's economy. So I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to hearing from everyone on the panel, and look forward to having a great discussion. Thank you,
Gabriel. Thank you. Dominic, tell me something. When you wake up in the morning, what is your role at your work, at your business, and what is a day in a car manager, car dealership manager in Liberia? What is the day like? What does it look like for you?
It's very challenging as a Liberian own business. Owner, we are being fight by foreign businesses. We are being fight by our brothers and sisters. We are being fight by our government, and I would say the witchcraft in the air as well. So we are being fight by 4 different forces in Liberia. And like I previously stated in some conversation that I had, our biggest problem in Liberia is we are not united. We take each other with passion. And that hit that we carry for each other, why it's not me, it cannot be you. If we can use 1 million of that hit in a positive direction, I can assure you that there will be a different in the next couple of months, not even year.
So tell me, what does that look like? What does that look like when you move around at work? Is it that you have to wait longer for things, or you have a deal to sell a vehicle and then you have to over-convince someone that this is good quality? What does that look like for you? What does that translate into? Just for the viewers, please, and listeners.
For me, they have fought from so many angles, from the government angles, from the foreigners angle, because I speak against the government, I speak against the foreigners, I speak against people who don't want to be like men of simple or plain fee. I speak against every one of them. So for me, I'm like an anchor. They see me as, I don't know, the worst human being on earth in Liberia.
Okay.
I was offered a job in the past regime. I was offered a job in this regime, which of course I turned all of them down. And I've really fought with my own brothers and sisters. For example, my leadership is the biggest leadership in Liberia. Yeah. Better American used car dealership, 100% Liberian home, is the biggest in Liberia. And can you imagine my brothers that surrounded me in the same vicinity? Because we have like 4 different dealerships right around me there. People will come to my dealership, for example, to ask for a car. If I don't have that car, I take those customers to them. But if people having to go to their dealership and check for a car and don't see it, and try to go to my own dealership or ask questions, can I find a car in that dealership? You will tell the person in another negative activities, metrics about my dealership or about me. In Liberia, Liberian mental is more personal than the cobra, than the venom on a cobra. If a Liberian man or Liberian woman try to buy off somebody, if you don't have the second thought as a rational human being to digest it and do a due diligence, and you don't want to see the ground he or she walks on. That's how personal our terms are. Is that towards each other.
So Nimely, how do you, I mean, you know, coming from the business world, you know, that's one thing you have to expect. You know, I think you have to expect that not everybody will be as ethical as you are. Not everybody will be as, you know, morally sound as you are. You know, you have that ability to, you know, if you don't have a service, you don't have a vehicle that they're looking for, you can send them to their dealership. However, they don't have that moral compass to say, you know what, this guy, we have a symbiotic relationship. We sell the same product, right? If I don't have it, I can refer my customer to him, you know. So that you have to expect it, right? You have to expect it. And I think for you too, it should be what do you call it? A business, how do you call it? Strategy, right? So if they come to you, excuse me, if they come to you every day for a certain vehicle, let's say Toyota or Honda vehicle, and you don't have that vehicle all the time, and you're sending them to your dealership, right? You take stock of that, right? So the next time you're ordering a vehicle, you say, okay, you know, I get a lot of people that come here for Toyota or Honda that I don't have. I can send them to these people, you know, to this other dealership. And that's business that you're losing to them. You will expect them to send you customer in return, but that doesn't happen. So take that with a grain of salt and just use it as a business strategy, as a learning, you know, a learning point that you can actually use to incorporate into your business.
Yeah. So
my point I'm trying to raise is that we should learn to work together. That's the only way we can move. We can make some changes in this country. Until then, we keep turning around in one cycle. It's not that I don't have this car in my dealership. It's not that my dealership don't have cars. I sell faster than every one of them. And they get angry with me just because of that, for no reason. You cannot get angry with me because I'm being blessed by God. I'm not using no money. I'm just using common sense.
Yeah.
So if
right.
I can see Toyota on my dealership, and I can see how long as it's being sold in a week, for example, right? I'm not bragging, but I'm the biggest seller. I sell fashion like brother. It's like my first priority is car. It's
right.
just something like you're trying to think to build houses in the country. Like during the past regime, for example, I make a lot of money. People will come up to my dealership, buying cars and get them for $50,000 cash, my brother. A guy needs to get one for me. He's like, you have to buy $25,000.
You can't say that on here.
The brother get $25,000 cash. So what's the land up for weekend? So the my first priority is car.
Right.
I'm moving more than rest. Believe me.
It's okay.
So how do you think, here's my question to you, and this is some of the questions that we wrestle with on here to really uncover the need, right? How do you think that either the banks or the government can help people like yourself, you know, expand, whether either expand or even get, acquire more vehicle or have access to capital? What do you think the landscape has to be to be able to get to that place? So let's say hypothetically you wanted to expand to open another location somewhere. Do you have that leverage to say you can go to a bank and, you know, put in, let's say, put the cars in your lot present them as collateral and say, listen, I want to open another location. Do you have that leverage to do that? Is the environment currently suitable?
I will explain that in two different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, on black and white, the laws, the rules, yes, but the implementation part of it, no. For example, a Lebanese or Indian or Chinese man will come to Liberia as an investor. Mm-hmm. Investor is someone in my own little man knowledge that come with money into my economy or my country to invest. But in Liberia, it's on the opposite direction. Those people, those guys come in our country and go after our local bank loans. They go after our construction loans, and they get the fuck out of it. I hear banks, NB, the president of Liberia, then we don't be as given, saying that Liberia don't pay a loan. How do you expect Liberia to pay back the loans that it takes? If the Lebanese and Indian go to you for loan, for example, and the criteria that they have to meet before you give them that loan is to be having a lease agreement. Who owns that property? It's Liberian. When you take I own the owner of the property when I go to the bank, I say, for example, I want $250,000. You have done due diligence. You know, Dominic worth more than $1 million. He worth a couple of millions. All right? And he asked for $250,000. What you supposed to do? You supposed to give him that $250,000 in adjustment. When you tell me that I should go bring property value that my great-grandparents don't have, that's a clear indication that you don't want to give him the money. Well, Dominic is more smarter than you. He goes to work, looks around his family and friends, and gets that property value, come over and you look at it and say, Dominic, I can like give you $250,000. I'll be able to give you $75,000. What do you think the Dominic did right there? To kill his ambitions. Dominic wants to do business. And we go business with our big properties, I can support it. No matter what Nimely wants to do the business, Nimely say, okay, no problem. Give me the $75,000. You get Dominic the $75,000. Dominic bringing the car from America. Before the car gets here to it's taking 2 to 3 months. He brings goods from China before he gets here, it's taking 2 to 3 months. Because Dominic works off the bank, you take your charges. And you say that's $75,000 a million, because you'll be paying $500 to $800 every month. Because Dominic get out of the bank, you take the first $800 and your charges. Dominic will walk out of the bank with less than $60,000 or less than $65,000. You already $16,000 of money. What are you doing right there?
Yeah, man, of course.
I really want to do this business. Dominic goes to work, all of the goods from America. He gets his goods, the goods arrive to Liberia. He kept $4,000 or $6,000 to get the goods out of the port. Before the goods get to arrive to Liberia, 2-3 months, he has made payment again to the bank. Right?
Right.
Make payment to the bank. Before the goods arrive to Liberia, he has kept to pay us $25,000 to $7,000 at custom duties to get the goods out of the port. So for the goods to arrive, the custom duties go to $18,000 or $19,000. Right now, Dominic is indebted to the bank, and he don't want this goods to stay in the port and get demurraged or storage. Liberian terminal gives you just 3 days. 3 days to get a container out of Freeport. They don't even have a crane. They don't even have a crane to load your container on the truck. I have paid $250 to a Lebanese company to take Freeport to drive my truck or my container on my truck to get it to where I want to upload. Right there, you're going out to money changer to go look for money to get the container out. You go down to the scene and you say, hey, the money you're giving me, I brought the goods. But I have made 3 different payments which amounted to $18,000. So I paid $5,800, for example. Right? You see what's going on with Dominic right there, right?
Yeah. Right.
We already calculated.
Right.
Hey, and Dominic can come out to make his payment on time to the bank. So he goes to the bank to give him money. I've got some business for the goods out of the bank. No, we're not responsible. We already gave the first money, not going to pay it. And they give you 6 months to pay that money or 12 months.
Right.
6 to 12 months are what they give you. At most, it's 18 months. If they give you 18 months, then you wouldn't lock it. So right there, Dominic is a ranch. He go back to the bank says, we can give you money to pay the container. He goes on the street of money changer. The money changer says 25%. Dominic take that money changer make money and go clear his container or clear his goods from the port. His first priority is to pay the money changer. Now, once the first sales he's going to make to pay that money changer, my brother, he will be invested with the bank for 1 month. Isn't so? He invested with the bank for 1 month because he's going to put the bank on the side to pay the money changer to get clear from the money changer because you don't want to go in 2 months. That's with the money changer, you'll be paying 50% for the second month. So he has to pay the money changer. He paid the money changer. Now, the thing good that Dominic Nimely is importing, when Dominic Nimely go to the bank and ask for letter of credit, they refuse to give it to Dominic Nimely, but they give it to the foreign businesses. They are immediately that when Dominic Nimely brings his goods on the paper, on the documents, that hasn't been implemented, that when he brings his goods, so long he are in cash compliance, he should put his 50% of his goods out. If you don't have money to clear goods, 50%, the government should give him 50% of his goods to come out and sell and be able to pay the government for some people and post his goods outside. But like in all of those communities, it's being given to the foreigners. Now, Dominic Nimely and the foreigners bringing the same goods. The foreigners not paying cash. He's paying, using letter of credit. That's a big leverage he got with Dominic Nimely. The second leverage is the immediate that will be given to him as a Liberian. The free zones are to be given to him, where his goods are to be sold in, which of course is going to be 50% for you to bring his goods outside and sell it, and he will pay the custom and being given to the foreigner as well. Then when Dominic Nimely put that thing goods outside, the foreigner get money to put it outside. The foreigner that gets all that leverage, he's going to sell that goods cheaper than Dominic Nimely goods. Dominic Nimely getting losses.
That's a competitive,
You know what work where they go and they go ahead to confiscate his property. To auction his property. That what happens in Liberian business we don't pay. And guess what? There is a cahoots, there's a cartel that has been set up. Alright? It's a cartel that has been set up. How this cartel been set up? All the banks and these in Liberia. The policies on the bank book. Because these policies that I just read up to you is not the one that's going to be using. The investment policy that's sort of used to give you a bank loan, it's going to take 3 months before you start paying, or 6 months. For the construction loan, they give you 2 years to 3 years before you start paying. Some of it go up to 5 years before you start paying. But all of those good immediate it is diverted to the foreign business. For example, the Lebanese man will go there and say, I want $1 billion. He will get the Lebanese man $1 billion. This is what they use like brand-owned businesses as case studies. They get a Lebanese man $1 billion for less than a week on a lease agreement, and the MD in those banks taking $250,000 off. They don't go after that Lebanese man. So they hire those debt trap loans that they get from Liberia. They use us as case study and hire us because they know that when they get us Liberian businesses that loan, they won't be able to pay back. They hire us, they use us as case study, and the millions of dollars they give out to those foreign businesses, and they don't go after because they're in the cookie jar as well.
Yeah.
Say that we don't pay no.
So there's
understand the scenarios. They just,
Yeah, Dominic, 1 second. You going fast. Hold on 1 second. Gabriel got something too.
There's I mean, I'm glad he actually came on the show. There's a lot that he actually talked about here, and some of the things that, so as somebody who works in banking, that's some of the things that, when you hear, you see the system here and you see that we have the same system there, and it is not working for people like himself, that you're hearing his concern. It kind of irks me, right? He talks about, this is something I always talk about when I talk to Liberians. He talks about the Liberian stigma that, Liberians don't pay back loans, right? And this is something you will hear with people in the diaspora here, including people back home, right? We have this stigma that we put on Liberian that they don't pay back loans. But he actually talks about some of the things that the reason why they don't pay back the loan. You have favoritism, right? A Liberian can come to you with the same, same collateral, same collateral to take out a loan, but because that stigma is there, there's this disadvantage, right? He also talked about how the underwriting process, right? How these banks supposed to know how to underwrite loans to make sure that you are able to assess somebody credit risk, to make sure that you put them in the right credit profile. That is non-existent, right? He even talks about the rate regulation. There should be regulation in Liberia where a money changer should not be able to charge you 25% just because you're going to him to take out loans, right? That if I'm indebted to the bank, I go to the money changer and take out that loan. I'm out like he mentioned. I will forever be paying back now my priority is to that money changer, right? So that means the bank loan is currently it will be on the back burner, right? And this is why you see, if you look at the balance sheets of many of the banks in Liberia, you see higher percentage of non-performing loan. For every $100 they give out, $22 of that loan they don't pay it back, right? And they attribute that to Liberians that Liberian that are that Liberian don't pay back their loan. So these are the things. I'm glad he actually came on the show, because some of the things we'll talk about, he's actually unraveling most of it here to really put it in from a business standpoint perspective. Yeah. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, no. Yeah, Mr. Dominic Nimely, ladies and gentlemen, is joining us from Liberia, talking about business, where the rubber hits the road, and how is it that he has to do to make things happen. And truly, from hearing his story, let me tell you, if this kind of person was in the United States of America, they would be far ahead in leaps and bounds, because the amount of work they have to go through is just simply Herculean when we look at Liberia. Mr. Dominic Nimely, let's talk about this. You have the Minister of Commerce and Industry in Liberia, and it seems like you are someone who has a voice.
One minute.
Yes.
One minute. I want to chip in quickly another aspect of the bank, if you like it. Just
okay. So please go ahead. Go ahead.
Another thing to do again. In Liberia, to open bank is $10 million US. That is sticky change. And 85% of that $10 million US is not being kept in our central bank. It's being kept outside Liberia. In Ghana, Nigeria, Africa, and etc. to open a bank in either one of those countries is $150 million minimum, least. You're talking about $500,000 or $1 billion to open an account or bank in those countries. So all the banks in Liberia are just operating on our daily return we're making in those banks, and they're making millions of dollars of profits on us, unknown to us, and nothing happens. Now, can you imagine our central bank from monetary regime up to this date, to this regime? Now, our central bank foreign exchange rate is not being handled by central bank, it's being handled by business people, foreign businesses. For example, the central bank will come up today and say the foreign exchange rate is 80, and the foreigners on the street will say it's 86, and nothing come out. I have spoken with central bank governor after governor, and said that we should form a task force. We should have him be a Liberian guy, and he and I was like, we had a meeting before meeting up there. We said exactly the same thing. So let me just close up on that for that aspect, for the banking institution. And we had another program which supports the aircraft bus for the West Africa. Our president for all Liberian banking institution, which is John B.S. David, he called us fish of God. I told him the truth. I told him you want to do that mastermind that Liberian businesses being slaughtered. And the aircraft boss came on the panel and said the same thing. He said, what the young man said is 100% affirmative. Then he called me after and saying that I'm trying to kill his career. I said, no, Mr. David, I'm not killing a career. I just told you the truth. If one Lebanese man gets $1 getting married today in Lebanon, all of you will fly there. It's copy our interest because you know what you're doing. You're killing us. Like where when the country you see on Earth and you see 67 to 65 places on one part of the casino. Like we really want to do business, but they don't have money. And people come out and say, like, man, I'm not serious people. Are you telling me? My brother is like, bro, everyone want to do business now. My brother is like, bro, you send somebody $20 US and give somebody $20 US, you will share here. You will take that $20 US, go to the $9 market. The Ghanaians, the foreigners who can afford the used shoes there. When they will go there 5 a.m. in the morning and wait on those guys wear the shoes, They will buy 2 or 3 pairs from there, and that man will hang it on his shoulder, that boy will hang it on his shoulder, and go around town without even drinking water. Trying to sell 1 pair to make ends meet. And you tell us that we never see us how smart he wants to be.
Yeah, thank you very much.
On the banking sector.
Okay. I mean, no, we like to hear this because we want to hear the experience from folks who are doing business in Liberia. Let's talk about the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. What is your perception of the Ministry of Commerce?
Well, I had a position before given the position from the Liberian Business Association, which is Liberian, which is the head of all organizations in Liberia, business organizations, from the Magazine Association to the Patriot to the Polimbo and the Secretary. I was called upon abruptly unknown to myself. They gave me this position, and I was so happy. They followed my track record. And they gave me the position. But for example, during Manasari regime, when we shut down the country, I think you heard about we shut down the country for 3 days.
Why?
And I was in second phase. We shut down the country for 3 days, 2016, during Manasari regime.
Why?
Why?
Yes, I was. Because of the liberalization policy that what I'm coming to.
Okay.
You cannot come to my country as a foreigner to be doing wholesale, retail, supply. No. What being left there for me? The procurement of government are being given from Manasari regime. It was changed overnight. Foreigners were given 75%, while Liberians being given 25%. And my brothers, with the 25% they give us just a charade, we're not even benefiting all of school 7 to this as I speak to you. We struggle to benefit all of 7. So we shut down the economy. When we ask Manasari, we say Manasari, we need tax reduction. The banks are telling us the ABM terminal, the storage debt is very high. And can you imagine being Manasari regime when she enacted ABM terminal into law and these people signed an agreement? Our legislator who has the oversight signed an agreement with ABM terminal that they shouldn't take like US dollars. We should pay our taxes there in US dollars. If you guys are following me since then, you will understand that it is part of serious fight with the LRA boss back then, Manago Peter Tama. They were more brave to tell us as well we should pay our taxes in US dollars. So I asked you the question, I said, Manatama, excuse me. Are you telling me that there in America, if they say you $1 billion in Ghana, they give you in Ghana money. If they say you $1 billion in Africa, they give you in Chile, Guinea, Sierra Leone. I want to make the economy, the currency to be strong. Why will you tell me that you sat there and signed an agreement that we should pay a foreign company in US dollars? You call yourself legislator. The people put you there to be in the interest. You sign a document like that. It is stop there. On the city regime, we went and made based on due diligence. When I was given that position, because the first guy that was here in patent, he was complaining about the Manasari government, regime. So they made me the head. I was second in command, like I said. So I started getting some people. I said, yeah, people came to me overnight with bad evidence, with huge offer. I really need money, don't get me wrong. But I couldn't share my integrity. I one person, because of that, I don't have money like where my brother. So we talk about importing rice. We went to the farm in Turkey, in China, in Vietnam, and etc. In India. We got to understand that the rice that the people are bringing in Liberia, during Manasari regime, rice price on the 5 kg was $17.50, $17 and $18 according to the quality. So when I found out, we have some investors who wanted to help us. The people said we could get a 500,000 metric ton 5 years contract. But by then, that girl consuming 25,000 metric ton every 3 months. So we run Manasari, we went to the commerce minister, and then it was one idea. I think Asin Adi, I forget his name. Yes, we wrote this guy, we say we want to RTD. We want to bring in rice. We wrote the various banks. We said the rice that we're bringing, let's just get a letter of credit. The rice that we're bringing in Liberia, you guys, the bank will be the one for it. The people will be paying for the rice to the bank. And after the poor money being paid, because you have the security in return. After the poor money being paid, the profit, you, the bank, and us will share it. Of course, we pay our own plane ticket to go to these people and finalize our bills. And the first consignment was to be 50,000 metric tons. The people was sent to us, and they gave us 90 days to sell that rice. Which, of course, we could have sold that rice in less than 30 days. Because the price that we wanted to sell our rice on. Like I said, by then, the rest was how much? It was $17.50. $17 for the cheaper price on rest. It wasn't Manasari that brought rest price down. Our first and our second, I brought the rest price down to the price it is today, $13.50. This is how I brought the rest price down. Manasari regime refused to give out the RPD. They refused to give out our 100% retailer right. So we say, okay, we'll shut down the country. When we shut down the country, you know what Manasari did? She had insult to injury. She went to where and get a Farmington hotel, 25 years tax-free, and get a Lebanese, Indian, and Chinese, all the tax break, and pay her back on us. Can you imagine? So I said, okay. They refused to get on the RPD. They said we should meet the criteria of getting a warehouse in people. You know what the Lebanese, Indians, and etc. did? Due to like in people, they pay for those warehouses, keep the keys. They got a cartel. The people make millions of dollars on each shipment of rice they bring to this country. And that rice that carry us down the good quality of rice. So they hold the keys, and when you go to obtain those warehouse, they put everything in the warehouse, all the best tickets. They're not using the warehouse, they get using fuel. So when people in the system where give all the secret, so you know they hate the media. I use the media to fight it. I populate the kingdom. So I called a press conference. I said, okay, someone else said he refused to give us happy with our rights. And she refused to give our 100% retailer right. I know the way we deal with her. I said, I'm not the first guy that compromised. This is what I will do. I called a press conference. I uncovered that. Then in the press conference, I said, because our plan on our rights was to sell it for $12 to the wholesaler, and it shouldn't be sold for more than $13.50. So I called a press conference. In that press conference, I said, my rice that I'm bringing to Liberia, it will be sold for $12 wholesale, and I dare anybody to sell it for more than $13.50. My brothers, you know what happened overnight? You know, they got people in the system. Information when it hit the rice dealer, I've seen that when I have a press conference. My press conference, the press conference hit the newspaper the next day. I had to reduce rice price to $13.50, $13.50 like it is today. So you see how they're afraid of us, like when you get in the system, because they know if you get in the system, we'll uncover a lot of things. So they fight us from all over. They go to our ministers, bribe them overnight. They go to our presidents, after president, bribe them overnight, just to keep us in the corner, for us to be spectators. That's my first encounter I have. But as God has it, I brought rice price down. I and my people in the bank that we brought rice price down to what it is today.
Mm-hmm. That is, you know, one of the things you mentioned is actually, I don't, and this again, I don't know if we even have laws on the books in Liberia. We do have these laws, but we don't implement. That's anti-competitive, you know, thing there. You cannot have a group of people just cahooting and say, you know, we're just going to, you know, cahoot and make sure we charge right at such and such price, to the point the lower man at the bottom, you make it create a barrier of entry for the regular persons to come in. You know, that's, and if they, to the point that they're even going to the government to even enforce that. Like those are like anti-competitive regulation that we should have on the books. I'm sure we have those laws on the books. We're just not enforcing that, you know. And hearing about these things, it kind of, and this is why, you know, people, you will hear people talk about, you know, the Liberian people don't want to start businesses. They're lazy. They're this and that. People, no, anybody that go in Liberia, as he mentioned, go in Liberia, walk the street, and you will see enterprising Liberians that want to start businesses, that want to, you know, they have ideas and want to start businesses. But because of these same thing that Nimely is talking about, the access to capital, and when they get in, they have a little bit of capital to get in, there's these barriers that are put in place that stagnate them, that to the point they can't even grow the business, end up going out of business. And these are some of the things we talk about. Sometimes we come here, we talk about finance and capital, but from a policy standpoint, this is the kind of thing that we need to resolve. Regardless of what administration that is in place right now, or the next administration that comes in place, they really need to take a fundamental approach to resolve, to really look at these kind of practices that keep the Liberian people stagnant in their own country. Seriously. You're muted.
Thank you very much. We're being joined by Ansu Dwalu. We know you're here. I know you've been listening in the background to what Dominic have been talking about, and I know you have experienced that too, where in so many words, the harsh reality is to pay to play. And also, you're looking at the foreigners, they are charging a premium, but some of that amount that they charge for the premium, we can be sure that it is used to maybe enable them to move and operate by getting visits from some of our folks that are in government. With that being said, gentlemen, Focus on Liberia. We are here. We're looking at educating, elevating, and promoting all things Liberia. We have Dominic Nimely, who's telling you the reality of doing business and some of the stranglehold and struggles and challenges that he has, and also maybe there's some success. Dominic, has there been anything that the Ministry of Commerce and Industry have implemented at the port in the past 1 year or 2 years that you can say that has been advantageous to your business?
Well, when Professor Wilson Tapper was there, on this administration, I fought my way, met President Weah. President Weah, listen. If you meet him, you be opportunity to meet him one-on-one. He's somebody that listens. Yeah. I met this man, and we had a meeting one-on-one, and I told him how I was not IPD, and we even went to Professor Tapper. He stayed all down. He started getting all run around, but after they had a chance for the IPD, but they seemed very right. So when I told him, he said, "Okay, you serious?" I showed him all the documents that we signed with the companies, our founders. So he said, "Wow." President William left right on the scene, took his phone and called President Tapper and told him the next day he should get us happy. When that President Tapper said, "I want to sponsor a job," I said, "No. We've been behind you for the past 3 months and you refused to get us to the happy." The happy President Tapper gave the happy. He told me to go on air and tell the Liberian people or the president that I lied. I said, "No, President Tapper, I didn't lie. You didn't hear him." I said, "No, I've been here." We were due for happy. After we got the happy, my brothers, we went from bank to bank. This is the people, Indians and foreign businesses, including our private people. They fought us up to today's day without want to get a letter of credit. And I'll say this to you guys out there. If you can get a letter of credit, we can import all of those things that these people import in this country. And I can tell you that we can beat them down, beat the prices down, get our people the best quality, and etc. The only thing that was to be implemented last few months ago by Ministry of Commerce, which of course are shaped behind and showing the right, was the liberalization policy that we've been crying for. One had to do with the free zone, one had to do with the 100% regional right. And the Ministry of Commerce, Professor Tapper came up because we had fought. He came on and said, "Dominic," I said, "Yes." He said, "We're giving the Lebanese and Indians because we are understanding that the use close setup is not for them, it's for we're getting a 1 month ultimatum. We cannot give you all the setup because we know your problem is asset to follow, which of course is true. If you haven't given all the setup like today, it will reach national security issues. It will reach our lives because we're not able to bring those commodities overnight." So he said, we'll start with the use close setup. Here's how we'll do it. We'll give you the use close setup. Those foreigners that are into it, they should be in this cruising air conditioned office, and then when they want to run the business that is happening in Ghana, Nigeria, and etc. You will see a Ghana or Indian restaurant, but you won't see Indian men in the forefront. You're always in the back, probably monitoring the cameras. At the end of the day, they make the say and they see how to share the profit. So I said, yes, Professor, that is good enough. My brother, to our ultimate surprise, I went and called a press conference. I said, our government started to listen to us. People told me, say, man, I think I just bluffed. I said, no, this is the first of the time. Can I embrace it as it happened? I went around, called press conference, spent my money. At the end of the day, we were sold out. A telephone call came from a Lebanese guy called Mawen, which is selling the used clothes as well down Watertown. And it went to one big man, and this big man just stepped on the whole set of being taken over to Liberia.
Thank you.
I said to myself, I said, well,
Dominic, can you pause right there? You've brought up something that I think for us who are listening, of our viewers, it's very touching. And I want to have Dwalu, one of our panelists, maybe he has something to say or add to what you are speaking about. Dwalu.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I really want to apologize to the people because something happened technically and I was trying to fix it behind the scene, but I'm here now. Dominic, thank you so much, Mr. Nimely, and this is a big deal. I'm so glad you're explaining some of these things. I'm laughing because I know all these things. My issue, I'm not going to focus. I will talk briefly about what happens in Liberia. Dominic already alluded to most of those, but I will say this, and I will continue to say this. Our solution lies in the diaspora. We in the diaspora hold great responsibility to Liberia. I've been saying this for close to 10 years. Nobody will listen to me. We can set up a bank. We can do the Liberia Diaspora Bank, and we can actually buttress Dominic's effort or Mr. Nimley's effort. There's a lot of things happening in Liberia people don't understand. A lot of people think it's just a small thing. Look, I don't blame a single foreigner. I did business in Liberia where I had 24 employees. In fact, I have a proposal currently that sits on the government's desk that I, Insu Opa Dualu, will produce 200 jobs within the first 1 year tomorrow if the government is willing to listen. It is out there. In fact, I put out another challenge. I'm saying this to say this. I put out another challenge. If the government is willing to put under my management the $48 million I was giving through the World Bank, I will create 100,000 jobs within the span of 6 months to a year. It is out there. But let me go back to the foreigners operating in Liberia. You have to understand something. I'll give you a serious, real-life scenario. When I took my operations to Liberia, I was forced to team up with the Lebanese to be part of my operation. Mind you, I imported my own tanker trucks. I imported my own porta potties. I have my own operations set up. I have 24 employees. Everything was being done by me. But this is under Ellen Johnson's administration. You are not fighting human beings in Liberia. You are literally fighting forces that the Bible talks about. I'm not a chess guy. It is not an easy battle Dominic is fighting. I'm laughing because Dominic is thinking like me 10 years ago, where I believe people were rational in Liberia when it comes to doing business. Yeah. There is no rationality in Liberia. The government officials, we will go into Cinco, and a minister was sent in. The Lebanese guy would take $5,000 US each on the table and give it to each government official. They would go back. They would say, Dualu, this operation cannot go on until this or this and this happen. You are being dictated to by people in power. This is not a fluke. You cannot compete with the Indians or Lebanese if you just believe you're going to compete in an even playing field. Your own government is working against you. This is why I'm continuing to push for heavy diaspora involvement, where we can have a bank in this country. Look, if we just took $2,000, that's no money to me. That's no money to most people on this panel. If we took $2,000 each in the diaspora and we form a bank, and that's 100,000 people get that money, we can raise over $100 million. We have a national bank, and that bank is focused on Liberia to compete with these guys. Because, look, you will bring your used car into Liberia. You're not going to make no money. The Lebanese have stranglehold the entire system. I am not blaming the Lebanese because this is being encouraged by our government officials. The way the system is set up, Mr. Nimely is not going to get anywhere. Look, he can fight for RPD all day he wants. Look, how much does it take to import chicken feet, cow skin, beef? How much does it take? It takes nothing. But the problem here is they have created a bottleneck at the Commerce Ministry. And the intention is it's a chopping mechanism being employed by people in government. Mr. Dualu want to bring in 100 metric tons of rice. You're not going to bring it in because Hassan and Mr. Mustafa say you cannot bring it in because that's going to counter his give a massive competitive edge over him when it comes to wrestling potential in the country. They're not doing anything difficult. What they are doing is they are silencing the government officials. I know this personally. Look, when I took my porta parties to Liberia, not a single company in Liberia had porta parties. When I decided to push back, I wrote a whole paper on this. When I decided to push back, City Hall brought porta parties. Another Nigerian guy came into the country, brought porta party to compete against me directly, because the whole intention was, and I had a government official tell me straight from Commerce Ministry and from Health Ministry, my man Tualu, if you allow the Liberian man to get loose in this country, he will become a multi-millionaire and he will compete against us. He will run against us. The fear is competition. They don't want no other Liberians to succeed outside the government. It is angering, because if we are going to develop Liberia, it must be done by Liberians. The Lebanese are traders. They're transients. They are coming. They're going to leave. They're taking the money out of the country. How can we counter this? This is why I encourage people to Google the $1 billion challenge. We have to challenge them head on, or else we're not going to have a country. Because I am not going to eat gari in my own country. I will eat my whole ass in cabbage, and I will leave it at that.
and I just want to piggyback on what Dwally was actually saying. I mean, if you're stagnant a competition like that in a country, and we talk, I don't want to get too deep into the capitalism standpoint, right? Yeah. It's like you take the free market piece out of the competition. Yeah. Let the investment win. If he wants to import rice and I want to import rice, allow us to do it. I shouldn't come to you because you're the government official and say, hey, here's 5,000 on the table. Don't allow that guy to import rice, because if you allow him to import rice, he becomes my competition, and I don't know how to compete, so I'm going to silence them. This is why we don't have a lot of businesses in Liberia. We stagnate them. The government actually goes in and stick with this thing and kill competition. Yeah. And this is the essence of free market capitalism that we're talking about.
And before he comes in, the biggest thing that I hit when any Liberian who doesn't understand the same thing, all Liberians want to do business. That is not true. That is not true. Look, they frustrate the living here. I have so many stories. In fact, I wrote another paper called The Free Port of Monrovia, What to Do and Expect. These are bottlenecks that are being employed in the system. And look, how many Liberians can come up with $5,000 back home to start a business? It's almost near impossible. None. So you are competing. It's an uphill battle for them. You're competing with Lebanese that come in with massive resources. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no xenophobia here, because if you went to Lebanese, the game is stuck against you because it is their country. If you went to India, it's stuck against you. Even in America, look, I lived in Massachusetts most of my life. If you came from California and I live in Massachusetts, I would get contract better than you because I'm a Massachusetts resident. There is nothing wrong with that. But we have refused to enforce a liberalization policy, and it's strangling us as a people. We want to do business, we can compete, but you're not going to compete because they're not going to let you to.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are joining Focus on Liberia, the marketplace. And the Bible says the truth shall set you free. We look at Liberia, and we are looking and hoping that that's something that's going to come. And right now, let's go to some of our comments, and then we're going to bring in Mr. Dillon. So let's look at some of our comments, please. Abu Sherry says, I love action rather than free talk. Focus on Liberia. So we asked him, please explain the free talk. They're still waiting to get back to us. Yeah, someone, Marshall, Polygon, Sumo Koli says, being honest is critical. I agree with the speaker. Oh, man, okay. Next one. Uday Mullenberg Wayemo says, Liberians pretend to be Christians, but those people are extremely wicked. Some are even more wicked than the devil in hell.
Absolutely.
Okay. Paul Puto says, I'm watching this. Okay, keep watching, sir. Thank you. Abu Sharif says, it's better that the Liberian businessmen and women invest in industries, production, agriculture, innovative career systems. Buying goods from China, selling can't upgrade our business systems. Mr. Abu Sharif, I think there are some folks here who agree with you, but there has to be a mix. Sometimes you can buy and sometimes you can manufacture. And for those who want to buy, they're saying that, man, this competition in Liberia is nothing to play with, because in the background is clock and dagger.
It's not competition.
It's not competition. Daniel Knuckles Gishar says, Mr. Dwalu, any updates on your sanitation project? Paul Poto says, the Liberian government is a gangster. I guess, Dwalu, that competition is not there, right? It's a gangster that has been gang raping Liberians.
A cartel.
Liberian can be successful in Liberia only if the government can make a playing field for Liberians to do business. Abu Sharif says it's better that Liberians get the machinery from China. Liberians don't need to input business rather than industrial system. Okay. Abu Sharif. Oh, Abu has a lot to say on this. I live here in China where there are many machines. We can carry machines down and produce what those Lebanese import in the country. So, Mr. Nimely, you have Abu Sharif who says that he has the machines and that he's willing to bring it down to Liberia. I don't know what his fees are going to be. Wilton Kidda says, why should Liberians import chicken feet when we produce chicken feet right there? I don't know if there are enough feet of chickens in Liberia right now. Dwalu, maybe you might know. Why Liberians should import chicken feet when we can produce chicken feet in Liberia? Wilton, connect with Dwalu. He did some analysis and he'll be able to share that with you. I know for me, I can eat at least 7 of them. So that's 3.5 chicken. We need to get to agriculture, machinery, industrial production, bananas plantation, and poultry. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, our comments. Dominic Nimely, you were also being joined by Willie Dillon, who's, if I'm not mistaken, an accountant. Mr. Dillon, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We're so happy that you're joining us. Comments or anything, please go ahead.
All right, thank you for having me on this Saturday afternoon here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just jumping into the conversation here. I agree with Dwalu as far as with his comments about the diaspora being able or having to arrange some sort of financial framework that would be able to assist, people with ideas from outside of the country moving in and investing in the country. I agree with that wholly and solely. And I will say that it's not a strange idea, or it's not something that's never been done. There's something called the Israeli Development Bank, just like they have the Liberian, the LBDI, Liberian Development and Investment Bank. If you really look at this guy who was Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, a vast amount of their real estate holdings, the money that they took or they presently hold in their portfolio to be able to invest in different real estate investments here in the United States came from that bank, which is situated in Israel, in which they use the money, make profits, and then funnel it back into Israel and do investments there too. So it's not a strange thing. It's something that can be implemented. We just have to open our minds and take those type of risks. And we don't have to wait for the government to endorse it or to hold our hands and say, oh, this is how it needs to be done. I think that the essence of an entrepreneur is that of the one who takes the risks. And sometimes we can sit here and talk and we can come up with all these fine and dandy pie in the skies ideas, but at some point in time we have to take that risk and move in and challenge the status quo. It may not only, or it does not only mean that you can challenge the status quo politically, you can challenge it financially, you can challenge it economically. And I think that that's one way that we can do it, by establishing some kind of financial vehicle from this end that we can use and harness the energy that we have here, the potential that we have here. Think about how many people have homes that can tap into the home equity line of credit. If you're doing that, the 2005 that you're talking about is something small, but we have not been able to implement such a thing. So at the end of the day, until we can take the risk and move forward, we can't really make the difference, So in line or in connection to what he was saying about, those bottlenecks that are in Liberia, I don't truly think that is the government itself, because the government really passed all the right laws, but there's a subculture within our country that has given into corruption and you know, this whole parallel structure, which is almost like you said, like a mafia in a way, because the interest of the country itself has become subservient to that of the individual interest. And until that can be uprooted, there won't be any progress that will be made through the government itself, you know. So I think that at some point in time we have to think about circumnavigating the actual government structure and creating opportunities for ourselves. And I think the diaspora is that one element that can provide that, you know, that has the financial means that can drive, you know, change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dillon. The next question is going out, and you can say yes or no whether you think policy is required or not. Mr. Nimely, are you there? Are there? So we have a question here, which is, what are some policy suggestions that you have that you would like to see implemented, or is it even important?
Policy suggestion that I have, if you're talking about towards us as Liberian or towards government?
Well, in either way, to make business flow for Liberians, what are something you may have in mind, or you think, no, we have enough things on the books and now we just need the actions?
Number one, we have a lot of good laws on the books.
Okay.
Implementation is our problem.
Okay.
Government after government is a whole issue. Implementation of those good regulations is our problem. Two, I always say that if we depend on government, I don't think we're going to move anywhere. I think I'm not saying we not want America to do for you, but what you can do for America, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's about time. I have seen it from different perspectives. I think it's about time that I keep about when I understood what the banks were doing, the game that they play with us, the hanky panky game that they play with us. I said, okay. I said to myself, I think we can come up with something. And I came up with the Saving and Susu Club. The Saving and Susu Club can be more powerful than the banks. Why are people going to the banks to go take money from the bank for? Like Access Bank is almost 70% of the population, my brother. I think you have Access Bank because the Access Bank loan Liberian commit further. Some of them run away and go in the interior because they don't want to pay back. Now, I came out and said, okay, since there is the case, let's do the Saving and Susu Club. The Saving and Susu Club is going to be the deal. I bring in 10,000, you bring in 5,000, we all pour our money together. That means if we get 100,000, if I get 100,000 in the bank, if we don't get yes, they are only equivalent $10,000 profit. But if we pour our money together, it can be more powerful than the bank that we allow the other guys say. We pour our money together, our brother that want to go to China to go to business, we credit them at a low interest rate. We're trying to build the capacity up. Those who want to clear the books, we credit them at a low interest rate. When we start to do that, the banks see that nobody is running to them for the debt. If the debt trap is bank loan, what the bank will try to do? They will start to come to us and say, hey, why are you not coming to us? We say, okay, we're not coming to you because your interest rate is very high. So we put our money together and say, no, they'll come to us. Why? The bank will start asking us to propose to them what I think the interest rate should be. Right then we will come out and say, we want the interest rate to be this or that. That's how it's going to work. You know, we came up, Malayue, or Arizona Valley, there are a lot of good Liberians, some of them from the diaspora. We put some money together. You don't want to believe what we did. It's still ongoing. We put some money together, like for me, I put in 1,500. I put $1,500, some people put $5,000, some people put $3,000. We amounted to $65,000. We have to understand that the container of the oil, or the container of oil, that the foreign input to the country is less than $10,000 for a quality container. Getting to Liberia. We started with oil. You know, the cost of everything is very high. And we started our first start with all the funding that we went through for the foreign businesses and the government. We were all made at least 10% or 15% profit. All our cases. So that is a clear indication if we start the Saving and Susu Club. If we start the Saving and Susu Club, like that brother said, we can put all the banks, they shut all the banks off. and we can even bring back agriculture back into the country.
Okay, thank you.
As a chair,
yes, tell us about Patel. You're chair of Patel. What is Patel? And go ahead.
As the chair on trade and commerce for the Republic of Liberia for Liberian owned business, I try my best through the WEBI, through Liberian Business Organization. We don't have no budget. We're not being paid. Those three positions are named to you: being chair on commerce and trade for the Republic of Liberia for Liberian owned businesses, being national chairman for Patel, being president of the Liberian Youth Card Association, and not being paid for either one of the positions. I'm not being paid for either one of the positions since 2016. Now, traveling to countries that go across the world to go scout for investors, for Liberians to work with them, especially Liberian owned businesses. Nobody being, I won't be paid. But we are trying our weekly. We went to China, for example, connected Liberian with Chinese, down to the coconut debt that we can flash here. People buy it for all this stuff. On the, we had another program here in America in 2018. We took Super Gary and some other Liberian food stuff. Now, Liberian guys come back with shipping sugar around by containers now, we all by containers to America. We went to London last November. We made a huge map, which of course the British government put aside of 60 million pounds for Liberian, for the citizens who want to do business in Liberia, because I spoke on the panel there. But because of the coronavirus, that had been kept aside. We had the Japanese government coming in because Japan, they don't grow anything. They want to do agriculture here, and the agriculture they want to do is the best. It's a 5 years loan, $157 million project. 5 years loan, they bring in some other money to equipment, and this is how they want to do it. You show them the land. They go there. You don't want to use colors and ash and etc. They go there, carry a machine, develop the land, give you the crops. You plant it, they harvest it, you harvest your crops, they pay you pay them in 5 years time. And what they want to do, they want to create a market outside there for us, for the agriculture market for Liberia. Like in that market, they will be the 30% of whatsoever harvest is.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dominic Nimely. We have a little thing where he kind of got off for a second there. Please forgive us. We connecting with him from Liberia. That is why. Quickly, we want to go around. We're far pressed for time, ladies and gentlemen. We want to be punctual with this stuff. The closing question that I want to go around to each one of you to please answer is going to be going up right now. We're going to start with Gabriel. What is the future of Liberian-owned business if we keep things as is?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in this cycle for quite a since we've been having banks from the 60s. It seems that none of the banks in the country don't work for all Liberians, right? And you hear this all the time that they only work for foreigners. And the fact that since 60 we've been having banks, and up to 2021 we're still having the same problem. Until something actually happens from the government standpoint, we're going to, believe it or not, we can say this is not we can continue to say this is not a foreign problem, or it is a foreigner's problem. It is a foreign problem. There's something fundamentally wrong with the way we do business in our country. Like, and whether we have laws on the books or we don't have laws on the books, I think the government has to really either come down on these banks to really make sure that they give a equal playing field to every Liberian in the country, and remove this stigma that we have on Liberians that they don't pay back loans. When they come, because they don't pay back loans, you either give them higher interest rate, and as a result of getting those high interest rate, they default on those loans. We actually end up perpetuating that whole stigma that they don't pay back loans. We have to regulate the rate we charge within the banking sectors. Whether it's from the money changers to the the commercial banks, right? And for me, I think, you know, there's a lot of problems. You know, is a confluence of problems, right? From a policy standpoint, we do have laws on the books to regulate that, you know. But as you know, as Nimely was saying, right? If if you're starting a business, right, and I have that same business, but you have to go to the government to bribe them, so I don't have to import the same, you know, product that you're doing. That's a competitive is how we call it, market interference, right? And for me, I think that's where we have to start. You know, the problems are there, but I think that's where we have to start to really make sure that we give every Liberian a playing field, and we make sure that the banks actually charge it. A foreigner should not be getting a different interest rate than I should be getting as a person in the country, regardless of, and this is why we assess risk. You assess the risk and you give, if they don't qualify for a higher amount, that's fine. Give them a little amount, but don't charge them too high, absorbing it. Why would Echo Bank charge, 75%? That is insane. That this is why the central bank is supposed to come in, or the regulator is supposed to come in and say, you cannot go over this certain, you cannot charge people over this certain amount of interest rate. That you automatically set those people up for failure. And for me, I think we keep going back and forth on this. The government, from the regulation standpoint, whether it's from the central bank to the commercial bank, which actually trickles down to the business owner, has to have their ducks in line. They have to have their ducks in line, and they have to take their hands out of the economy and allow free market enterprise to flow. Right? People like you and I, there are people in the diaspora locally that want to start businesses. You talk to a Liberian, every Liberian want to go back and start businesses. But the same as Dwalu actually mentioned earlier, he doesn't want to go to the bank to take out money, right? Because he doesn't trust them, right? There's also the law aspect of it, right? If let's say we have a contract with the bank, and I want to bring that deal end up going south, I want to bring that contract to the law, right? There's a risk that if I'm going there, you can go behind me and pay the judge. So by the time, before we even get to that court, I'm already playing out a losing field, right? So there's a lot of problems there that we really need to, and we can pinpoint it to say government, the administration isn't doing what it's supposed to do. Yes, they're not doing what they're supposed to do because the one that are already in place, the current administration, they're struggling to even keep the economy going. So those are not fundamental things they're looking at. But I hope the next administration comes in and really look at these problems from a fundamental level, from a policy to a financial, a monetary policy level to a economic policy level, which actually translate into the Ministry of Commerce. That to really make sure that we actually solve this problem and make sure that we give every Liberian a playing field in their own economy, that they don't become spectators to what's happening in their own country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. There's a quote by our good brother George Lobo. He says on the show The Drive, he says, during Ellen's leave time, at least you will be a spectator in the stadium. But he said during George Weah time, you're not even you can't even be a spectator at all. So, but Dylan, go ahead. Let's hear from you, please.
I guess he was saying during George Weah time, you can't even get in the stadium, right? All right. But listen, my perspective is that, or from the way I see it, we have to look at it from the perspective of the quote by Robert F. Kennedy. It says that some men see things as they are and say why, but I see things as they should be and ask why not, right? And I think that's the perspective that we should have. You can look at all the things that's wrong and say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is a bottleneck, so we can't get these things done. Or we can take action, and start with the small victories and expand it as we grow. So I'm saying that to say that, you see everything that the young man just described on the phone, what he's describing is called a savings and loan or a credit union, right? Where you have members that join, you give them low interest rates because they are a part of the group. And then at the end of the day, as they grow with their business, they contribute more towards the growth of the credit union or the savings and loans, and you guys bring in more members. Now, it was just the other day we did a we did a show on the banking system in the country. And if you go through everything that's registered with the central bank, we don't have many credit unions in Liberia. We don't have many savings and loans. Now, the major problem they're saying that is that 90% of all commercial activities in the country is outside the realm of the banking sector in the country. So the government does not have a true understanding of what the economy in the country is like on a grassroots level. But now, I'm saying, why can we not form cooperatives? Why can we not form savings and loans? Why can we not take it in our own hands and say, okay, why can we not form these type of financial institutions and empower our people through contributions, just like what he described, and take the economy back in our hands instead of, so in other words, what I'm saying is instead of looking at the problems, let's look for solutions. And let's execute these solutions, with firm vigor and, bring our country back within, our own grasps. That's my point of view, and I challenge all of us here in the diaspora to look at that. Let's work together. The primary reason that I'm trying to get on these shows and get with like-minded people like you and like the other two panelists today is because we're looking for like-minded people who can, make things happen in our country. Because really, in our country, we're not suffering from law like everybody else has been saying. What we're suffering from is true execution. What we're suffering from is individuals, people who can take action and move forward outside of the realm of government. And I think we should take the lead with that. And we can continue looking at foreigners and complaining about them, or we can take action ourselves. We have a lot within our means that we have at our disposal. But we need leaders. We need people who can take action, who can move forward and have dreams and aspirations that can execute. And with that, I think we can take our economy back in our hands. When it comes to entrepreneurship, yeah, the government helps a lot. But at the end of the day, it comes down to that brave or those brave individuals who have the vision that can push things forward. Years ago, when the government closed NASA here in America, it was Elon Musk. It was people like Jeff Bezos who said, we're going to do Blue Origin. We're going to do SpaceX. And now the government is paying them to send people to space. No one dreamed about electric cars. But Elon Musk now created a whole industry. Yeah, the government helped, but he had to take bold moves. He took a lot of risks. He took all his money for PayPal and plowed it into this idea. It could have gone south, but he took that risk. So at the end of the day, when it comes to entrepreneurship, man, it comes to leadership. It comes down to vision. It comes down to execution. So I'm challenging all of us here in the diaspora to have this glorious opportunity to live in the West and see all these different examples. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's execute. Let's take our country to where it needs to be. Instead of complaining, the reason why the Lebanese people are reaping these benefits is because they were able to go into the country while we were running out and running away. These people have been in the country the whole time. That's a risk. And they've taken those risks. Now it's time that we take the risk in our country. Let's move forward. That's the challenge I'm posing to all of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dylan. Dwalu, from you now.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to just finish this up. I'm going to say this. The economy, capital, is the lubricant with which the economy is greased. Based on how fluid that capital is, will determine how stagnant or how fast-moving the economy is. The bank play a crucial role in the economy. Having done business in Liberia, this is what I've learned. I understand this completely. We will not change that country from within. Not because people within do not have the capability, but they do not have the access that we have. I love numbers, and I'll throw numbers out there. Look, I'll say this over and over and over again. If the average person in the diaspora make $20,000 a year, I know people like William made 50 times that. I'm just kidding, William. but let me just say this. If the average person makes $20,000 a year, we have a capitalization of a minimum of $20 billion a year in the diaspora. 20 billion, approximately 1 million Liberians live around the world. In America, Australia, all over the places. I know most Liberians make way more than that, but I'm being very, very conservative here. If we go ahead and we do this, because to truly take control of Liberia, we have to pull, like Dylan said, pull our money where our mouths are. The issue of controlling Liberia, look, I firmly believe we have to take control of the country. And the only way we can do that, We have to come together in some faction. And I want people to understand this. I appreciate you, William, for posting the post up there. Google the $1 billion challenge. And the issue here on that post is, this is how we can control our country. And it's not a hostile takeover. It's a way where we can create jobs into the country. It's a way where we can create a banking sector. It's a way where we can create an industry that really want to move the country. Okay, look, the Lebanese can come in. I wanted to come in. Some of these people, I firmly believe they're Liberian because they were born and raised in the country. But I don't want to be second in my own country. If we have access to the country, the way the $1 billion proposes, and I'm not saying it's all be all, we'll put together a panel. They might have better idea, but this is a platform that we can launch. Listen, you live in America, give her $1,000. Your money is not free. Your money is a bond. It's registered, insured here in America. I spoke to Bank of America. I spoke to JP Morgan Stanley. These guys tell me, if you guys can raise this money, we will insure this money. So this money goes to Bank of America. And then we form this bank. The bank is entirely dedicated, a venture capitalist firm that invests in Liberia exclusively. Look, nobody in Liberia will tell an American firm, because this will be considered an American firm. We are going in, we're building roads, we're building private hospitals, we're building slipper factory, we're building rest farms, we're building things that will actually move the country. At this point, we will have a say. We will determine who becomes president. We will determine who becomes senator. We will determine what high schools are built, what universities are built. I will become a university professor. I will go teach locally because now I'm stationed in the country. We can say, listen, my man, Gabriel, you've been IF for so long. We have a VP operations management position in Liberia. Take it over. If you can do 2-3 courses at LU. This is how we develop our country. We have to put the money into Liberia, some kind of a way. Some kind of a way. I'm begging people, Google the $1 billion challenge. Let's start talking about this. I understand most of these talk shows, people talk about, they get slept with the other girl, people come in. I understand it. I get it. That's an entertainment value. But the true thing that's going to move Liberia is putting money together and using that money in the direction that's going to develop our country to determine who leads us and what kind of leadership we want into the country. The only way laws will get enforced in the country, if you have people that dwell in the country, telling you, say, listen, you're not going to do that. There is no way people will sit around a round table after a 13-year-old got ripped to talk about it. Let's talk about their family business. No, there will be proper judges. This is what we talk about the commercial courts. They have to work. And they're not just going to work in the abstract. They're only going to work if we have corporations in the country that are going to hold the government responsible. And we are in a position to do that. Thank you.
I think you're muted.
Oh, well, no, I'm not muted. I was done.
Okay,
he's done, yeah.
LB Law for Liberia. Elliot, heavy name there, says, it is not possible for us as Liberians outside of Liberia to contribute, even if it's $5 per month, with accountability to target some specific project back home to help our nation. Say farming. Why are we importing rice when we have everything we need to produce rice? There you go, Dwalo.
I know. I appreciate him, and I went to Google the $1 billion challenge. Get in contact with me. Let's start talking about these issues.
Okay. Abu Sharif. Oh, he's back. He said, anyone who need machinery or transport equipment, please contact me. Block making, mineral water machine, poultry farming equipment, CCTV camera, city beautification, construction equipment, sporting equipment. Abu, you're not paying Focus on Liberia for us to advertise your business, but thank you so much for putting that in there. To all of our listeners and viewers, please contact him if you need anything. Abu Sherry says, Brother King, please try and get me on your platform. Let me tell those who in sports sector to upgrade our sporting system. Thank you very much, Abu. You're welcome here anytime. Please give us a call. We also take small little donation. Marie Peen says, most Liberians don't pay back loans. We've already discussed that and in depth. Abu Sherif in Uganda, 87% of his citizens are in the private business sector. Abu Sherif says, thank you, brother. LB says, I want to be a part of said project. Well, please, LB, if you're listening, and Dwalo, please go back to the comments, connect with him, and we talk to him more. Like Lebanese and Indians been in business long time in Liberia. Now the Nigerians are joining them, so it will be a big competition for us. Well, I think that there's always good thing with competition, and there's still a whole lot to do in Liberia.
Competition is good.
Yeah, and also the biggest real estate in Nigeria is actually owned by a Gambian guy. So just food for thought. You can look that up. LB says the $1 billion project. Yes, LB, please Google it. The $1 billion project by
Challenge.
$1 billion
challenge.
Challenge. Okay, the $1 billion challenge by Dwalu. So please look at it and read up on it and contact the guy who is here, and he'll be able to share with you a little bit more about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are pressed for time. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you who have joined us on Focus on Liberia. We want to say thanks to our panelists. We want to say thanks to Dominic Nimely. We know that you had to get off the line. We wish you the best of luck with the dealership business. We know that you're in the ground, being a soldier. We ask that you continue to be safe. COVID-19 is definitely real. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we will always do this when we are here talking on Focus on Liberia. We have the discussion, and it is very serious. And we always leave you with our song, which is "We Are All Liberians." And so please let us play this for a second. Dwalu, I know you're pressed for time, Willie and Gabe, but we need to talk some more. But whenever we want to talk to you, you disappear. So anyway, closing song. Stay around for 5 minutes. Let me after the closing song, please.
All right.
All right. Just my apologies.
Liberia people. Liberia.